Let me kick this panel discussion off with a quick question to all our panelists. I'd like to start with Naren. Naren, what does this modified era mean to you? How do you look at this? We've basically come from a background of 5 years of very poor macro, GDP growth, industrial growth, fiscal deficit, current account deficit, inflation, interest rates, everything that could go wrong went wrong with the Indian economy.
See, one thing is, I think none of us have seen what is the benefit of a single party rule in the Lok Sabha. I mean, I started working in 1989, and 89 was the first year where you had a coalition government. Until 2014, May 16th, I've had a coalition government for 25 years. So one of the reasons why we are not able to understand at this point of time is that we have never seen a government like this. So I think what decisions can take maybe months can maybe happen in weeks. And so I think we're going to see that benefit. The problem is we are in an internet era, so we want something to happen, what has to happen in 3 years, in 2 months. That sometimes can be a problem, but otherwise I think we are headed for the most interesting period in my working career, and we are in a sweet spot even from a global point of view. Because when we meet people across the world, they say India is possibly the only country in the world whose growth can go up significantly and interest rates can come down significantly. Either there are countries whose growth rates have increased like America, but where interest rates could also go up, or there are countries like China whose growth rates will come down, could come down. So I think we are in an extremely unique position, and what we have to remember is this is from an economy point of view, and not necessarily from a market point of view. And that distinction is something I think we will realize over the next 3 years, because I don't think the most important imperative of this government is going to be the market. It has to be creation of employment, it has to be reduction in inflation, and it has to be reduction in interest rates. So I think these 3 objectives is what the government will look for, rather than look at whether the market goes up today or market goes up tomorrow. I think that distinction is something which we'll realize over a period of time. I think there is better realization today than what it was, let's say, 2 weeks back. And I think at the same time, I think the 3-year outlook on the economy looks really good.
Right. So you think the worst of the macro is behind us anyways?
Yeah, that is clearly behind us. I am expecting double-digit industrial production growth, and I'm expecting interest rates to be 2% lower and inflation rates to be 2% lower in the next 3 years. So obviously the worst of the macro was over last year in July, August. Because if you see what the current account deficit was at that point of time and what the current account deficit is down now to, I think clearly the worst is over on a macro point of view.
Right. And Navneet, what about you? What does modified era mean to you?
In Modi's words, I mean, India has got demand, India has got democracy, and India has got demography, and there are very few countries in the world which have got that. What we didn't have was the direction, a devotion, a dedication, and determination. And I think this mandate will ensure that we get the direction and we get the determination. And I think I'm quite positive after the budget that I think it tried to put most of the things which were there in the NDA agenda. So it talked about smart cities, it talked about national gas grid, it talked about e-governance, it talked about more use of technology, reviving the traditional industries, new airports, new ports, more roads. Now the issue is that given the fiscal constraints, given the state of the banking sector's balance sheet, and given the balance sheet of large number of people who can develop that infrastructure. So what can government do? Government can do 2 things. One is that you focus on ease of doing business. You put the right taxation regime, you put the right kind of clearance mechanism in place, you put a good redressal mechanism in place for any dispute, you put the right kind of policy framework on one side. So create a climate where whether a foreign investor, so make more clarity on the FDI, do that. On another side, ensure the funding, because the funding cannot come from government, corporate sector has issues and the banking sector has issues. And for that, large number of steps have been taken. So right from REIT for the real estate sector, the infrastructure sector investment trust, or lower withholding tax for the foreign investors, trying to get more domestic savings into the market through the, let's say, more limit for ATC or uniform KYC, and also I think this the issue of infrastructure bonds by the banking sector. So trying to address the funding issue, and we are providing the right framework with a good execution capability. I think we are going to achieve that. So my sense is that next couple of years, India will produce an economic miracle which is unparalleled in human history.
Do you want to elaborate on that? An economic miracle that is unparalleled in the history of India?
Yeah, because first of all, I mean, as Naren rightly said, that in 30 years we never had this kind of a mandate. This is a new India. This is those 110 million, 120 million new voters, aspirational class. So we have moved from that caste politics to class politics, and I think every state government chief minister, so it's not only the one single government in Delhi, but I think the message has been very clear to chief ministers that focus on growth, focus on governance on the ground, and I think the whole political class will realize that how can development is going to be the single biggest political agenda. And also in terms of, I think those structural strengths are very much there. So we have the positive demographics, there's tremendous potential in the manufacturing sector to grow, and there's tremendous potential in terms of improving our productivity on the agriculture side, there's tremendous potential even on the services. So for example, tourism. I mean, all these things have been talked about in last 1 or 2 months, and I don't see any reason that given these strengths that we have, just with the right kind of direction, and the world is looking at us, where else on earth you got this kind of combination, this kind of opportunity. In next couple of years, why would, let's say, an Alstom or a Siemens or an ABB or Metal, wherever they are sitting, would not look at this place as the next big opportunity? China has got serious issues with its property sector. In US, in Europe, in Japan, large part of the world, I think whether it's aging, whether the structural issues are there, I think this is one place where the growth, I mean, which can actually drive the global growth for next several years.
Ramdev, how would you look at the budget? And there was very limited time that the government had to put this together, just 7 weeks of time, and the markets have been quite volatile after the budget has been presented. How do you see what has come about already, and put that in the context of what you think could come going forward, from this government?
I think these budgets keep coming and going. I mean, if you talk about receipts and payments, there is nothing much, in the sense that there is no tax mobilization of any significant order. It's a status quo kind of thing. There are some changes in some places here and there, but I don't think it's going to make, I mean, whether one should be interested in India or not just because of this budget. I don't think that's the differentiating. The issue is execution. And he is known for his excellent execution excellence. If UPA 2 has gone down, it is gone down for execution mess, or actually absence of execution. So when these guys are saying 37,000 crores will blow and build up 8,000 kilometers of road, I think by March it will be known whether they are doing it or not. So execution is the key, and I mean, if they excel in execution, which is what people have faith that these guys will execute, I also think that that's a possibility. And if you execute well, then you are talking about say 6%. They themselves are saying 5.5%, 6% for the next year. I would think every year you must add up another percentage or so. So by the time it is 4th or 5th year, you should be looking at almost like a double-digit kind of thing. My sense is it's between now and 8 months hence for the next budget. And I think, and it's not about this budget. I think they will do all the corrective measures in next 3, 4, 5 months to set it right. I mean, that's because I see these guys, they are listening. They know what's really happening, and they are concerned about it. So I would remain very, very hopeful, and still remain as optimistic as I was on, say, May 16th.
Naren, we have a Prime Minister who has a 12-year track record of performance already. You have reasonable history of what he did over this period of 12 years. And you just mentioned that the top priorities will be to get jobs, get growth, and bring down inflation. Beyond these priorities, which are very important and the primary focus of this government, what is it that you really expect, knowing the track record of this Prime Minister? over the next 5 years' time, or importantly over the next 1 or 2 years' time?
I think the single biggest problem, if you ask me, in India is that we don't create supply. We've not had a supply side government in almost right through this 25 years. I would imagine that finally we will have a supply side government, particularly where it is possible for the central government to do it. And once you have a supply side government, it will be what you see today in, let's say, broking firms or telecom. You have a consumer who has been taken care of. Because if you see what has happened to brokerage rates over the last 20 years, you can see what has happened to the supply side in broking firms. You take for example telecom, where the number of suppliers were substantially increased. I would expect that in the next 2 years, the government will work a lot in improving supply in many of the areas. And the moment supply increases in many of the areas, you have a very, very good experience.
Amrit, what would you advise the investors in this era? I mean, we are all excited about economic growth improving, corporate earnings improving. You have no depth of ideas, as Navneet is talking about. You have a cyclical upturn that Naren talked about. What would be your advice to investors?
From where, say, Infosys started, in a garage, completely, I mean, even $100, $200 were big thing, even till as late as early 90s. I mean, 91, 92, they used to be coming here for a few $1,000s, RBI permission to go to US and those kind of things. So from those, I mean, their IPO itself was a flop IPO of 200 crores. Today, this company is 2 lakh crores. And they must have distributed at least 15 to 20,000 crores by way of dividends so far. Maybe, I don't have the numbers, but it must be at least in that order. And today they are distributing 3,000-4,000 crores every year, which we are not happy with. They should be distributing at least 6,000-7,000 crores. So this is the power of one successful enterprise. And I'm not talking about one. Look at ITC. In 1988, you could buy the entire ITC for 120 crores. Today it is 2,50,000 crores. It has earned 46,000 crores. It has paid out 23,000 crores by way of dividend. And there is story after story. HDFC, in 1978 they took 10 crores. Today it has given birth to, one HDFC has given birth to one HDFC bank. It has given birth to the most respected insurance company, largest mutual fund company. And I mean, they are paying out like thousands of crores of dividend across. And they are worth maybe 2-3 lakh crores as a group. So the entrepreneurship has been the biggest opportunity to invest in. I mean, if you invest at one stage and if you stay on for 10, 15, 20 years, of course you don't get right everything. But out of 10, if you get one right, that one will pay for all the sins of 9. Because out of say 100 rupees, you have 90 rupees put in 9, 10 rupees each, and 1 10 which is right, the 10 can go 1,000 times, whereas 90 can go only to 0. I think we have seen only a trailer of the amount of money which is going to be made in the future. In terms of ideas, in terms of size of the money. We are living the exponential times. This is just about the start of the exponential times. And this mandate is only an enhancer to the pace at which, in any case, we are supposed to make create the wealth. So I would think this in this environment, not only in India, and the whole thing is becoming so global. As we go along, in next 5-10 years, the opportunity will become so much more global. I mean, you don't have to bet only on Indian entrepreneurship. You can bet on the global entrepreneurship.
Interesting. Naren, your piece of advice to the investors, particularly what not to do?
What not to do is most simple. I spent 10 years as a broker between 1994 and 2004. And I watched what has happened after 2004 is not to trade derivatives.
Yeah.
That is, in my opinion, that's the single piece of advice I can give any investor. The second is, if you're doing direct equity, you have to do your homework. And if you believe that making money in direct equity is too easy, it is not correct. You have to be willing to do homework. You have to be willing to do a process like an exam, and you have to follow it rigorously. If you do that, you can make a lot of money. People think that they can trade in equities very easily and they can cure this cover, that cover and make money.
Yeah.
I don't think that is true. As far as mutual fund is concerned, genuinely practice asset allocation.
Right.
And normally my view is don't invest in an asset class which is given too much money at a point of time. At least be a bit more cautious there.
Yeah.
These are some of the principles which I have found useful over a period.
So you continue to be contrarian even in that aspect. Navneet, turning to you, you run a lot of mutual funds, within the SBI MF umbrella. If you were to pick one or two and recommend that to our investors here, what would you recommend?
So I mentioned that in the last 5 years have been the most challenging. We had a period where the growth was very low, we had a very high inflation, we had challenges with the politics and the corporate profitability, so on and so forth. And during this period, some of our funds and then some of the other funds as well have delivered 25% CAGR, and then some of them actually even more. And those are like purely bottom-up stock picking. So we have a fund like Magnum Global where we invest in companies which have a sustainable competitive advantage, very defined competitive advantage, with either 20% ROE and then 20% growth. Obviously, you have to pay a little higher in terms of valuation, but I think the formula works over a longer period. It may not work in a short period like a momentum market last few months, but it will definitely work over a longer term. It has worked on an emerging business fund that we run where we buy, across market cap, pure bottom up, benchmark agnostic, and the sector agnostic. I think some of these funds, if you have a long-term view, just put your money 5-year, 10-year, 20-year, 30-year and just sit on it. And you look at the portfolio and I think you'll get that confidence that, one needs to have that kind of portfolio.
Sure. Naren, what about you? You talked about betting on cycles. Which of your funds would you recommend to the investors here?
Yeah, at this point of time, what we've been believing is that the market valuations are fair, and therefore maybe categories like balanced advantage, for example, we have a very defensive fund. That kind of fund is something which we really like at this point of time. Along with, we believe that, markets would be volatile, and therefore strategies where you're likely to make money because of the volatility which is there in the market, while the market may be upward oriented like our dynamic plan, and are something we like on a regular basis. Thematically, as I mentioned, it is infrastructure, banking and mid-cap, which we like from a 3-year basis, but people should really look point to point and not look at this week. If they looked at this week, they would not invest in the most aggressive sectors. They would only choose something else. So these are the things we like at this point.
Rahul, which of your products would you like to recommend?
Actually, in India, one of the good things is that people love to touch and feel their stocks.
Even without doing the homework, as I mentioned.
Yeah, so you can buy you can buy large cap value strategy which has 10-year track record. You can buy mid cap strategy, and if you're not happy with the same trick, we are one pony trick. We buy quality. We run a very focused strategy. 15 plus minus kind of stocks, maximum 20 stocks in the portfolios, and very high quality. We don't carry any cash. It's always 100% invested, and it's not the investment theory is called QGLP, quality, growth, longevity at reasonable price. So we practice it absolutely to the core. So you can hold us responsible for whether we have practiced the dharma or not. But the performance is for anybody. We are not running away from performance. Performance is good.